Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another BJ&Co. Odyssey, the Next Generation Science Game video. You must be excited, Savi. We get to play with balls today.
Hey, it's deja vu. It's like we've heard this joke already.
So we had some issues recording the first time, and it was just
or...
Okay, it was my fault. I screwed up, and
right,
it was you would have just listened to me talking to nothing. So we decided to redo this. So it will be a little bit of an interesting one, guys. We've got Savi, the chief engineer of Laughter and Cheer, as always, or Laughter and Tears, depends how you want to go.
Cheers today. Cheers.
And we want to thank Adrian's son. He's thrown out so far the best description for me that I like so far, or title, which is Professor Ben. So if you guys have something better, throw it down in the comments below. But let's get reading. So now that I know pendulums can be used to represent falling objects, I made two pendulums today that are the same in every way, size, length, etc., with the only difference being the mass of the bobs. One was a lot heavier than the other. When I swung them, they never got going very fast, so I think I don't have to worry about air resistance changing anything now. When I dropped these pendulums from the same height at the same time, they fell and rose together, staying in perfect synchrony. They looked the same and acted the same, even though one mass was a lot heavier than the other. This disproved Aristotle's belief that falling speed was proportional to mass. Objects of different masses all fall at a different speed. Dad said the biggest angle made by the string compared to vertical is called the amplitude, and it's related to the height of the bob swings. The higher the bob swings, the bigger the amplitude of the pendulum. As I watched the two pendulums swing, I noticed that over time, the lighter bob eventually started to damp out sooner, meaning its amplitude got smaller more quickly than the heavier bob.
Air resistance was slowing the pendulum down. It was just so small in effect that it took a while to see it. Dad also told me the time it takes a pendulum to swing back and forth one time is called the time period. What was remarkable was the two bobs kept oscillating with the same time period, even though the amplitudes were changing, and the time period stayed the same as if they fuck off first started swinging. This is really strange. I showed Dad. He told me Galileo had once listened to a sermon inside a cathedral. Getting bored, he happened to look up and see a chandelier swinging in the breeze. When the breeze stopped, he noted that the amplitude of the chandelier swinging reduced over time, but the time period didn't change. I noticed the same thing Galileo did. Dad was happy with everything I'd done, but after dinner he gave me another challenge. He took me to my two pendulums, the ones that were identical except for the mass of the bobs. Then he held the heavier bob up at a high amplitude and the lighter bob at a lower amplitude. He dropped them at the same time and they swung together with the same period, crossing the vertical at the same time. But he pointed out that the heavier mass swung at faster speeds than the slower mass. He said since the heavier mass was moving faster, doesn't that mean the two masses are actually falling at the same? That doesn't mean that the two masses are falling at the same speeds.
Man, I thought you'd have an easier time the second go round.
I'm trying to speed through it.
I know. I agreed that the top speed of the heavy mass was faster than the top speed of the smaller mass, but it was also swinging a longer distance. That's why the time periods were the same, and that was the important part. The heavy bob swung with a larger amplitude, so its path had a longer distance to go than the lighter bob. So to have the same time period, it had to go faster over the longer distance. The faster speed was only because of the larger amplitude. The weight of the bobs had nothing to do with it. To show him, I repeated his experiment. But this time I held the lighter bob high with a larger amplitude and the heavier bob low and dropped them together. They looked the same as when he did it, oscillating with the same time period, but it was the lighter bob that moved faster. You could switch out different masses with the experiments and not change the results, so Aristotle was still wrong about the speed being proportional to mass. Dad nodded and said it was true. I really have disproved Aristotle's idea that heavier bodies fall faster. Mum came into the hut just then, but before I could tell her about the pendulums, she asked us if we knew where the satellite phone is.
She wanted to put it in a safer place, hidden, but she can't find it. So we all spent the last few hours looking everywhere for it. Mom still thinks it's around here somewhere. She isn't sure at all where we last left it. Dad thinks it might have been on the boat, and the sailors took it. We still have our radio, but that's not nearly as good. We'll look again tomorrow when it's light.
Woo! Okay, so
Let's
one
turn it on.
flips the bobs back, drops them now.
Oh no, they're all different weights and they're swinging at the same time.
Oh my god.
What?
But in the end, it doesn't power anything.
It's just hey, look at this, asshole.
So follow the red. See, okay, while we're going through
this
this,
doesn't make sense.
the Galileo, like, think about how bored he would have had to be in the sermon to look up and just watch a chandelier and time it going back and forth over an extended period of time.
Yeah. And notice it's not changing.
Yeah.
Like, the amplitude's not changing. Or slowly.
I think that preacher needs to work on his sermons.
I mean,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So this one came up here, guys, and it's got the picture
vacuum.
of it dropping 20 meters in 2 seconds in a vacuum, and then it had all these other ones with random numbers beside it, and based on what we have learned, they'll all drop at the same speed. So we put them all as twos and it lit everything up. Woo.
Yay, vacuums. Vacuums.
You really seem to enjoy vacuums. I feel like there's a good story there.
Yeah, they suck. Ooh.
Okay, green.
Go
this
left,
one goes
go left.
up. Yeah.
Not that we've done this already and know the way to go.
Yeah, we're not. It's nice that we don't have to backtrack because we did a few stupid things last time. Like got all the way to here on the red wire and went, oh shit, that's not the way we have to go.
Dang. Yeah.
Okay, green wire. Yeah, but like we were saying earlier, the interesting puzzles in this area
Have just dropped off the map.
Yeah, like they're not super. They started nice and now they're just kind of like that.
Hey, did we ever do anything with the yellow?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh, okay.
That kind of started it all.
Oh, look, Ben changed how the game already was, so now we need to change it back.
Sorry, it's because you couldn't remember shit. That's the only reason we changed it.
Excuse me? You knew the answer, though, you son of a gun.
Oh, look!
Oh, look, a box.
More reading. Come on. We spent all morning looking for the satellite phone and finally had to give up. Mom thinks it's still around here somewhere, but Dad's not saying what he thinks. Mom took Sid and Guillaume back to the bridge to work on the cable bridges, and Dad's back surveying the island. I think Mom's right. The phone's probably still in a box of equipment somewhere. Yeah, sure. I'm thrilled that I finally discovered an answer to the question of whether heavier bodies fall faster, but I'm not done with pendulums. Their behavior is so unexpected and fascinating. I wonder if there was any way I could change the time period of a pendulum. Changing the amplitude didn't make a difference, and changing the mass didn't make a difference. I'm proud to say I finally proved it. But going back to the experiment with the nail that changed the length of the pendulum string, I remember that when the bob swung along a smaller arc because the swinging string was shorter, it moved faster. I decided to test this more by making two pendulums that were identical, including bobs of equal mass, except with very different string lengths. I released them from the same amplitude, which didn't mean the same height this time because the strings were different lengths, so I was careful to measure them to have the same angle away from vertical. And I watched what happened. The bob on the shorter string moved faster, and also with a shorter time period. I reduced the string length some more, and it oscillated even faster.
In fact, experimenting with different string lengths, I discovered a pattern. It was a relationship between the time period and the length of the pendulum. To double the time period, I need to quadruple the length of the string. If I wanted to reduce the time period to 1/3 of what it was, I had to reduce the string length to be 1/9 of what it was. The time period was proportional to the square root of the length. I asked Dad, and he said I was right. Even then, I decided to see what would happen if I made a pendulum with a really long string by tying a big rock to a long rope hanging from a watchtower. The rope was 16 times as long as the initial pendulum, and its time period turned out to be almost 4 times longer, like I expected.
Damn.
Looking at my massive pendulum, I'll show you my massive pendulum. Dad told me a story about one of his professors who made a huge pendulum in class with a heavy, very heavy bob. He held it high, touching his nose, and then he dropped it and closed his eyes. A lot of students yelled for him to move out of the way so it wouldn't come back and smash his face. He, of course, knew it wouldn't swing higher on the return swing than the spot he dropped it from and hit his face. And I knew it too.
Okay. Could you imagine a really jerk of a kid in the class going to the other side and just giving it a tap on the way down?
Give it a little oomph. That'd be awesome. Screw that guy.
That would knock the grin off of his face. So today's dad said I could use what I learned to find my lunch in a scavenger hunt he set up this morning. To begin, I needed to go up the radio tower and look through the telescope. When I got there, I found it pointed at the main part of Wretched Minor. Through it, I saw an old metal box on the rocks. Also, a funny wooden sign with the word blank, blank, blank
Bird
painted on it in Dad's handwriting. I immediately ran down the tower and over to the island to find the box, but I couldn't find a way up to where I thought it would be. I went back up the telescope to look more carefully for landmarks, and I saw something else. One of the old army cables was attached to the box. I could follow the cables. A week ago, Mom tested the old cables and found out they were fine, so she hooked up a solar panel, and now Dad is working lamps at all the watchtowers.
They must have found this old box when they were working on the cables, and they didn't say anything.
Jerks.
It didn't take long to find the right colored cable. I followed it through a hidden cave and out into the sun again, and up a narrow path to the top of the hill, where I found the metal box. It was actually an old army safe wedged into rocks. There was a combination lock on the cable stopping power from reaching it. The combination must be the word Dad wrote on the sign, though it was up above somewhere, and I couldn't see it from here. I remembered the word, though, and dialed it in, and it worked. But it didn't open the safe. It just activated the button on the front. On the ground, there was a note from Dad telling me the buttons on the safe swung a pendulum. That's why it needed electricity. And moving the sliding arrow up and down changed the pendulum's characteristics. The Army's had a code book he found in the bunker where all the different pendulum speeds were linked to the geometric figures on the combination lock. But instead of giving me the code book, he made his own clues and put them in the watchtower for me to find.
I ran to all the watchtowers and found a drawing in each one connecting each of the safe's geometric figures to a pendulum with length, mass, and amplitude. Along with his sketches, I also found notes where Dad talked about how finding the safe last week put pendulums into his head. Though he said he would have thought to suggest them to me anyway, since that's how Galileo tackled the problem I faced, it was just a funny coincidence. Based on what I learned about pendulum speeds, I knew what information mattered and what didn't matter, and I could match the symbols to pendulum speeds on the safe. When I dialed them all in, the safe opened. Lunchtime! This afternoon I'm going to lock Sid's dinner up in there, but I think I'll make it harder by putting the 5 drawings somewhere else, not just sitting out in the watchtowers.
Wow, what a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're getting to a spot where, because they didn't make it to supper, otherwise Sid would have gotten it. So I think we're getting to the point where their island gets raided. Oh, look, different lengths they spend differently.
I think we've gotten to the point where the developers are like, let's take a break.
Yeah.
No offense.
Same time period. Woo.
Yay, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, the reading is getting a little bit shorter, which is kind of nice.
Shorter, and the puzzles are becoming more of like demonstrations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. They realize where their audience would be going. So let's head up
to a different game.
But then we say that, and then this next puzzle is actually fairly solid.
Yeah, but we solved it. Spoiler.
Yeah. I wonder if we can still see the door.
You can't. Good job, Ben. You screwed it up. Oh.
Can we hit the button? Oh, shit. Bird.
Trashman.
No, the garbage man.
Trashman. I know. Let me look it up. It's the Trashman. So look at the pictures on the.
So what's on here? You can see the geometric faces that are on here at the moment, and then there's a pendulum at the bottom. When we hit, no, it's not going to let me in.
No, when you hit the button, it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
So now we're like, pendulum pictures. Let me see.
As it goes back and forth, when we move the slider down, it gets faster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was slower at the top. I'm pretty sure.
That's kind of what it was.
So then we had these 5 drawings. So the slowest one, of course, is the 20-sided dice. And then we go to the shorter one, which is the triangle. And then we go to the 3-inch one. And then we go to the 2.3-inch one. And then we go to the Savi length.
Yeah, that's resting state. And then we get up to, you multiply that by 10, and you're good to go.
So then that allowed us to open. There was some paper in here, and we have a key as well.
Oh, look, a key.
So we'll pick that up, and we will check all this stuff out next time. You get an achievement for opening the safe, so we've only got 2 more achievements down, which means we're getting close to the end on this one, which is exciting. Gonna see what happened to the family. I wonder if we're gonna get to the end and see butchered bodies or something.
God, that'd be awesome.
Oh,
look, there we go.
There we go.
So there's the answer. Hit the button.
Come on.
Look. Slow.
Whee!
Faster. Slow, faster. Slow, faster. Slow, faster.
That's way too much fun. Yeah, and then these can all switch. So that is what we've got for this time with Odyssey, guys. More fun reading and puzzles. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for updates when our new content goes live. As well, we've got our website, bj&co.ca, that links to where we've got a presence all over the wonderful internet. So, Savi,
join our Discord.
Yeah, join Discord. There's lots of fun stuff going on there, including Minecraft server, which is awesome. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.